second video on the Sunday, I debated with myself whether I wanted to do this video or not, because it always feels weird being a man giving advice to women. Uh, Firstly, I'm not the best person in the world to do that, and secondly, I'm please don't think I'm making the assumption that there's not women out there that think like this. It's not that at all. This is just a general message to women, uh, a solidarity message, and it's not just Irish women, but I'm going to be in the context of Ireland because that's where I live. But I know you're having similar issues in your country. But my message to women of Ireland and women in the West in general would be: don't die, fight. And the reason for this is, in Ireland, there's shocking levels of suicide among young women at the moment. And often they're successful, educated, good looking, beautiful even, talented, gifted, hardworking, ambitious young women. When I say young, I mean up into their 40s and not, even later, who are killing themselves. They just, I became aware of this because of the whole, the needlecraft thing. I'd look in the papers, I'd see a story of some young woman who died, and I'd say, oh God, another victim of that, the needlecraft, and then I'd look further, and many of them were not needlecraft, they were suicides. Now we have to ask ourselves, why is this happening? Why is it that seemingly on the surface you have women who are doing all right in life, have everything they want, just one day coming home from work or from a night out, and just destroying themselves? Well, the reason for this is simple. They don't have everything they want. They have very little of what they want. Now, again, please don't think I'm condescending or pandering or patronizing or anything like that. Western society is not catering to the needs of modern women. By that I mean it's neglecting a huge aspect of what being a woman is, hence the whole concept of them not being able to explain what a woman is, because they're erasing women off the face of the earth. And a woman who commits suicide is making it easier for these lunatics, these alphabet people, to destroy all women as part of the transhumanist agenda. Now, in the context of Irish women, I know there's been heroes in other countries who are women, but I'm just going by, all I know is the Irish. I know you have a Boudica in Britain and all the other things, but I'm just going by the Irish context. In Ireland in the past, one of the great things about the liberation of the state is that women stood on the front line holding rifles and guns alongside the men, and performed other roles. And they weren't butch, and they weren't anything like that. In the evening, they would put on their frocks and dresses and go out dancing and be girls. But they understood that there was this country was being very badly served by being in the UK. I mean, it wasn't hatred of the English. They just realised that in the years following the famine, that Ireland had no future in the UK, because it was supposed to be a union of equals, and when the famine struck, we were left to die. And then they also looked across the sea at London and saw the horrific poverty of people in places like Birmingham and Manchester, Liverpool and London, and said, if they don't even take care of their own, what chance do we have? And that's why they picked up their arms, because they tried the election process, and the 1919 election, independence was overwhelmingly voted, and the British government said no. So they had no choice. They tried everything, and they were pushed into the corner. And I mean, the role that women played in the freeing of this, the independence of this country, is astounding, and they weren't butch, they weren't, lesbians hiding. They were women and girls who were just like any other. I'm sure there were gay women among them, but in general, that's what they were, just regular women, and they were They, like I said, they'd have a machine gun and a uniform in the day, and at night would be in a frock and a dress going to a dance. And both sides of their womanhood was protected, enacted, I should say. And you know, it wouldn't have been anything without them. They were so integral in things like intelligence and all that kind of thing, running guns and stuff, everything. And they were from all walks of life, from factory girls all the way up to countesses. Why? Because these women of Ireland knew their history. They knew that in their blood flowed the spirit of the Morrigan, Queen Maeve, Gráinne Swale, Grace O'Malley, and Mná Na Héireann, the whole thing. It was all there. They had that. That was the Brethren laws gave Irish women equal, were the most advanced laws in the world ever. That gave Irish women equal rights over men, and they could do. They had the same legal rights as men under Irish pagan, the Brehon Code, which has actually lasted well into the Christian period until it was superseded by English common law. But they knew this. They had that in the past, and in recent times, I told you about that Ortiz thing on don't listen to fake news, and the first thing they showed was Celtic warriors. My God, what a declaration of war on our people! What a declaration of war on our people by the National Propaganda Service. And now we have a situation where women have everything but nothing, and then they're being told they're no use anymore. You have these degenerate freaks, these fetish lunatics, who've castrated themselves, referring to women as fuckholes. When they're not washing the maggots out of their own, crevice, they're calling them fuckholes. They're calling women berting people, and these trans males during their sexual fetishes are talking about breastfeeding and how wonderful it is. They're pouring chemicals into a baby through their artificial nipples, their artificial boobs. No mother who loves her child would subject their child to poison like that. These people don't know the first thing about motherhood. And they've told women that it's all about career, it's all about the patriarchy. And when they get the career and they defeat the patriarchy, they look into the mirror and say, what am I? I'm nothing. I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm saying this is the society that's done this to them. It's been done to men in different ways. And this is all part of it. This is why we stand together. We don't stand. So they've elevated the borderline types through things like third wave feminism and through the alphabet people to pretend they represent the average woman. They don't. The average Irish woman was the woman in the protests pushing the baby in the pram through Ballymunner East Wall. Mná Na Héireann, that sticker, that funny sticker, but it was also tremendously powerful. That absolutely must have terrified the establishment, because they hate families more than anything else. And how do you destroy a family? Well, you make sure you keep the women and the mother and father apart. The globalist leftist agenda in America destroyed black people by using the welfare system to push the fathers away. They've done it in the West to a big extent, but now they're working on the women. The destruction of the family is everything to them, except the destruction of the royal family. That must remain intact, and the Bushes and the Gates and all the others. Those families must remain, sacrosanct. And you have a situation where women are committing suicide in gigantic numbers. Women who have so much potential to offer. Don't die, fight. Don't die, fight. And remember who you are. You're not someone who was raised to be an influencer on Instagram or TikTok. You were not raised to sit there talking about, a lot of these women who are probably killing themselves, they're probably only male friends they have are gay men, because they've been subconsciously told that straight men are the patriarchy and you have to hate them all or distrust them all. So you surround yourselves with men who are in frocks who only see you as a fuckhole and nothing else. And you know who the enemy is, the woman face. The woman face is the enemy. A Western woman today should see a woman face in the same way a Jew or a gypsy in 1930s Germany should see an SS uniform. They're there for your extermination. They're not there to show me a drag queen that. No, I'm not saying I'm not against people who want to wear women's clothes or transition, but why do they always have to dress like washed up old whores? Because they hate women. They, at some fundamental level, they hate women. They don't. They dressed up like washed. They deliberately go for like washed up old Karens that have had a million cocks inside them. That's the image they go for. Why? Because that's how they see women. Do you want to be portrayed like that? You know, if you're a woman and you're surrounded by, if you're a straight woman and all your friends are either, you know, feminist or alphabet people, you failed as a woman. And it might not, and 9 times out of 10, it's not your fault. You have been programmed and guided there. And that doesn't mean you're weak or easily influenced. It means that we all succumb. It's the propaganda is so ferocious. And they played on genuine, you know, genuine grievances of what women in the past had. Yeah, women in the past were second-class citizens. You know, they couldn't vote and stuff. Of course, we all know that. But every one of those things have now been addressed. And then when they were all addressed, the thing became to destroy you. They, you know, you have no idea how evil these people are that you call, these politicians you call by their first names, or, you know, these woman faces on TV, you know, pulling out lotto numbers or whatever. You know, you're standing at the side of these pride marches, cheering on fellas in frocks who want you dead and want your children raped, if you have them. Think of your nieces and nephews if you can't think of your own, if you're not going to have your own kids. So I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm just telling you why it is the way it is, and I'm asking you not to kill yourself. So, don't die. Fight, and don't look upon the woman face with revulsion, not revulsion, because what you're staring at, a woman staring at a woman face in drag, is like a Jew staring at a canister of Zyklon B, and you remember that.